hello, and welcome to the Babe Bulletin podcast, where we talk all things self-love, empowerment, boudoir, and anything else that helps us feel like a babe. My name is Alicia, and I'm a boudoir photographer in Wisconsin. My goal is to help people connect with their bodies and feel a little bit better in their skin, and I am so happy that you are here and listening. Before we jump into today's episode, I wanted to remind folks that maybe we're holding a little bit of tension in our bodies right now. It's really easy to do that and forget that we're doing it. I see it with my clients all the time. I always have to remind them to drop their shoulders, breathe out of their mouths, because we tend to hold a lot of tension right here in our face and our shoulders. So here's my reminder to you. Take a couple of deep breaths. Think about what the air feels like in your lungs. Drop those shoulders. Unclench that jaw. Maybe you're at work right now or you're driving through rush hour traffic. It's really easy to just take all of that stress and keep it in our bodies, but we're going to take a second to breathe, to let that go. Tell me what your bodies are feeling like. Hopefully you've got some ways to move and groove to keep everything a little bit loosey-goosey. My body's actually feeling pretty good right now, which is nice for me since I deal with chronic pain on a daily basis. I'll probably have to go home and do some stretching and a little bit of PT at the end of the day. But right now, I'm feeling pretty good. So I'm glad you're with me, and hopefully everybody's bodies are feeling pretty good right now. So today's episode, I want to chat about the habits of confident women. Confidence is definitely not something that came easy to me. Certainly was not something that I had for a lot of my life. And now, even though, I wouldn't say I'm confident every single day, I don't really know anybody who is, I definitely feel a lot better. And I'm quite proud of how far that I've come. If you had talked to me 10 years ago, would I have boudoir portraits of me on the internet? Probably not. Would I be running my own successful studio? Probably not. Would I be speaking at a photography conference in a couple of days? There is no way that I thought I would have the confidence to do that. But here I am. Yay! And hopefully you're in a better place with your confidence too. But if anybody has ever told you, you just need to be more confident, and you're like, that is nothing. That is a nothing phrase. What am I supposed to do? Then I'm so happy you're listening right now, because we're going to chat about actual things you can do to create that confidence within yourself. These are things that I've tried, things that I enjoy doing. I'll share a little bit about, how this all kind of works for me, and maybe you get inspired to add a few of these techniques to your daily routine, hopefully. So, okay, let's just jump right in, right? The first thing I have found to feel more confident in myself is definitely to prioritize myself more, making sure that my self-kindness and my self-love game are on point. Now, that could be something small like affirmations, or it could be something big like a monthly pampering session where you get, a massage and your nails done. Who knows? Wherever you are in your stage of life, the way that you prioritize yourself and the way that you treat yourself, it might change. I would not expect a brand new mom with a little baby to be able to do the things that someone with a much more open schedule is able to do, right? But that's okay. We're going to take it as we go. We're going to take it one day at a time. And you got to figure out just what works for you. So what tends to happen with a lot of my clients, and I think with just women in general, is we sort of put ourselves on the back burner. And when we do that, we sort of tend to forget who we are, what we like, what are our interests, what are our hobbies, who even are we as people. And then when the stuff that was on the front burner, that all gets taken care of, the kids go off to college, what have you, all of a sudden we're sort of left with, maybe your kids go off to college, you retire, whatever it is. Once those things are gone, we're kind of left with this feeling of oh, I don't know who I am anymore. And when we don't know who we are, it's really hard to be confident in ourselves, because where are we placing our confidence? We don't know who we are. So find things that do prioritize you. And I'm not saying that other people's needs fall by the wayside. We're not talking about neglect here. We're not talking about selfish acts. We're just talking about self-love and making sure that your needs and your wants are getting taken care of as well. I think that it's a non-negotiable habit. Let's be real. You got to be doing something to prioritize yourself here and there, you know, at a minimum. It's got to be in your routine. Otherwise, who are we at the end of the day? It's a tricky thing, and you'll figure it out. You got to navigate it and find kind of what works best for you, but it's definitely got to be something that you investigate for sure, okay? So for me, I love, a good bubble bath. I'm going to take them when I can. I love going for walks. I find that's a really nice way to reconnect with myself, get into nature a little bit, practice like some mindfulness. I love doing my own nails at home. These are just little things that I do for me. Nothing crazy, nothing big, but just ways that I can remind myself I am worth my own time and I am worth dedicating parts of my day to. The second thing that I find has helped me a lot with my confidence is continuous learning. I loved school. I don't know, were you like that when you were growing up? I loved school. I loved learning, and that didn't end when I left college. I have still been kind of hungry for information really my whole life. Just this year, I learned how to fix a leaky bathtub faucet. Was there a ton of frustration? Yes. Were there multiple trips to Home Depot? Oh, you bet. But guess what? I learned how to do it. And I felt so good when the project was done because, like, me and my husband were like, oh my God, we did it. We fixed it on our own. We watched a YouTube video and now we're, basically plumbers, right? It created such a sense of accomplishment in me. And I know that's a small thing, but it felt really good to do that. Last month, I fixed our spice grinder that was not working properly. Found a YouTube tutorial, took apart the bottom, cleaned out the screw, put it back together. Boom, spice grinder works again. And that just makes me feel so good. Like, I did it. I did the hard thing. I learned to do something I had never done before, and I did it. And I am, you know, I'm just the bee's knees because I got it done. Finding something like a new idea or a new skill and just staying curious creates this really cool like sense of competence. And I find that the confident women that I am meeting, they're all really smart, but in very different ways. The thing they have in common though is that they're always learning. So go find a new skill, watch a YouTube tutorial today, read a book, watch a documentary, listen to a podcast on a topic that you have never heard of before. Stay curious, folks, because learning new stuff is really, really cool. It's also how we create like empathy for other people. It's how we can relate to other people, and it just makes you feel so like good and accomplished. All right, item number 3. Confident women know the importance of healthy boundaries. And this is one that I really struggled with, especially in my career when I was starting out as a photographer. I was not so good at creating those boundaries, and wouldn't you know, it led to burnout. Yeah, right? Who'd have thunk that not having healthy boundaries creates burnout? Actually, there's a lot of photographers who don't know this. I just saw a post today that said that the average length of a photographer's like career is 4.5 years because that's what it takes to reach burnout. And I believe it. And it's a bummer. And I can empathize with that for sure. But I also know from personal experience, it's because you're not setting work hours. You're not creating expectations with clients, things like that. Like, we have to really make sure our energy and our time is protected. And that doesn't mean you can't give a little more here and there or often, but we got to make sure that our boundaries are in place so that we don't burn out. Confident women are communicating assertively. They are protecting their time and they're protecting their emotional well being. And there's nothing aggressive or mean about having a boundary. They're super duper healthy, but we just have to have them. So, like for me, for example, I don't check emails anymore when my workday is done, which is something that I did a lot, especially in the beginning. I don't like to answer texts after work hours if I can avoid that as well with clients. If it's an emergency or something really, really important, yeah, I'm going to answer it. But I do my best to save my weekend time and my after work time for my family. There are always exceptions, and that's okay too, but you got to be the one who's okay with making them. And maybe that's boundaries that you have to set with your family. Maybe those are boundaries you have to set with your boss. Maybe those are boundaries that you have to set with yourself. But you'll figure it out. I'm just here to remind you that those are okay things to have. And if you want to be confident and you want to feel secure in yourself, there is nothing wrong then with wanting to protect yourself and keep your time set up to be the way that you want. There's nothing wrong with that, okay? Speaking of things being the way that you want, I have found that when I started to show up authentically for myself, for clients, for other people, I felt so much more comfortable with myself and so much more confident in my brain, in my skin. And I know that like authenticity is kind of a buzzword. It feels like it doesn't have like that much of a meaning anymore, but just stick with me, okay? To me, embracing authenticity is really like the cornerstone of confidence. I want folks out there celebrating the stuff that makes them unique, the stuff that makes them weird, the stuff that really interests them. And that realness is just so much better than like conforming to what you think you're supposed to be. So, for example, when I started out in my career as a boudoir photographer, I was in every single education group I could get my little hands on. I wanted to learn it all. Like, we've already established, right? I'm a big learner. I love that. But I was starting to do things in my business because other boudoir photographers who had been around for a while were telling me that's what I had to do in order to be successful. And as I'm implementing some of this stuff, I started to lose some joy and some like spark and interest in the work I was doing, which is maddening because I picked this job. This is my business. I should be able to do what I want. But I realized about 2 years ago, like, I'm starting to lose myself. I'm starting to lose what makes my studio like special. I feel like I'm doing all of this stuff because other people are telling me I'm going to fail if I don't. That did not fly for me. So I left. I left a bunch of education groups, which seems like such a no-no, especially when you're an entrepreneur. But I'm so happy that I did. I muted a bunch. I just don't check in there anymore. I'm running my business the way that I want to run it, the way that feels best to me. And since then, I've just been so much happier. Hey, Alicia here, just popping in to let you know we did have some issues with the audio in this podcast episode. Please bear with us. Sorry.
Physical activity can actually do a lot to make you a more confident person. And I'm not talking about moving your body so you lose weight, so you quote unquote look better. That's not the vibe that we're talking about. But I have found that moving my body, especially in ways that I really enjoy, creates a lot of confidence for me because I can see ways that I'm getting stronger or faster. I can touch my toes now, and I am so much more flexible than I was a couple years ago. And that's really cool to me. I feel really good when I can see like the strength in my body. And I think there's this connection between physical and mental health that sometimes we forget exists. And it can be really hard to thrive in one way when the other is struggling. So your physical health might take a big toll when your mental health isn't doing well, and kind of vice versa. So if you're looking for a way to feel better in your body, find some movement you enjoy. Go for a walk, go rollerblading, go kayaking, head to the gym, whatever it might be for you, give it a shot, because consistently moving your body is a really great way to feel more at home in your body and a little bit better, and ideally, more confident in your skin. There's also this idea of like mindfulness. Tell me if you've heard this phrase before. And it's sort of about living in the moment and being present in your body and present in your life. Mindful practices like meditation and deep breathing, these things can really enhance emotional resilience, which is pretty cool. I don't know about you. I really struggle with meditation. It is just not for me. I know that the more you practice it, the better you can be at like quieting your brain. I just have no interest in practicing. So shout out to the people who are good at meditation. It's not for me. But I really enjoy mindfulness in the terms of like going for walks. What does the wind sound like? What does the river sound like? What am I hearing? What am I smelling? What am I even like tasting in the air? That kind of stuff. I also really enjoy something called like Zen doodling, where I just draw patterns basically over and over again in little different shapes and forms. And same thing. I just kind of I try to like turn my brain off a little bit and do these very repetitive drawings and just listen to the world around me. I can hear the crickets. I know my dog is walking around behind me, things like that. Like, I just want to try to be a little more present in the moment, because maybe you're like me and you have like a little bit of a social media addiction and you just always need like noise and stimuli around you. I feel like I always have music or a podcast or a television show going in the background, and sometimes that's happening and I'm still scrolling my phone, and I'm just like constantly being bombarded with messaging and like chatter. And I have to remind myself that that is not great for a human being. So practicing mindfulness for me is something that I've been working on in the last couple of years, especially. I think I only started Zen doodling like last year, and now it's one of my favorite things to calm my brain down. And just recognizing and feeling like contentment in my life has definitely made me a little more chill and a little more relaxed. Like I said, it's calming that nervous system down a little bit. And, whether that brings confidence for you or even just a sense of peace, great. I'm all for it. So if you haven't found a way to practice mindfulness yet, because maybe meditation is not for you, do a little bit of like Googling and see if there's something you can be doing right now to just chill, take those deep breaths, be aware of your surroundings, that kind of thing. This next confidence tip, this actually just like smacked me in the face yesterday. Confident women do tend to be goal oriented. They set clear, achievable goals. They've got like this sense of purpose and accomplishment in their lives. One thing that I started doing like 2 years ago, or even last year, who knows? I have no concept of time anymore. 12-week plan where like you pretend 12 weeks is 1 year. So you try to get everything. You set big goals for like 12 weeks instead of big goals for 1 year. I've really been enjoying using that. I have a vision board to kind of keep my goals in mind. And yesterday I was talking to my husband and he said, hey, what like personal goal do you have? Like, I need to know in order to help you out with a piece of content that he was working on. And I was like, I don't know. I don't have any personal goals. And he's like, you need some. It's good for your spirit. And I thought, oh, fair enough. And funny enough, behind my, the million tabs that I keep open, I do have a vision board on the back of my computer screen. I make mine digitally every year. That way it's something I see on a daily basis when I open my laptop. And I just hadn't been bothered to look at it in a while, even though it's right there. And I thought, okay, all right, fair enough. I don't really have any personal goals right now. Let me look at my vision board and see what I want to do. And I had a lot of little travel images on there, and I thought, well, we haven't taken a trip in a while or gone kind of anywhere in a bit. So I don't know, maybe a road trip is in my future. I think that's a nice goal, to go somewhere new, experience some city I've never been in before, even if it's only a couple hours away. I think that's a good goal to have. So yeah, it's a good reminder even for me, because it can be really easy to get caught up in kind of the routine of life. And then you find yourself in like a little bit of a rut. And I don't know about you, I'm very type A, but I like to have something to work towards. So if I don't really have that, sometimes I get a little like stuck feeling. And I also love ticking things like off of a checklist. Oh, the little dopamine rush I get when I can tick that right off. Really great. And it's definitely helped build my confidence up when I am able to see the goals that I set, and then the fact that I've accomplished them. I mean, who doesn't love the sense of accomplishment? Not that we have to be running towards our goals 24/7. Not that that means we need to hustle all the time or always be busy. That's not good for us either. That can cause a lot of burnout. But having clear, achievable goals that just fosters, the drive to do something, I think that's super helpful in feeling more confident in who you are as a person. And you know what can help with that? A supportive network. Do you have friends and family or people around you who are cheering you on? Having like a relationship that's going to nurture you, it's crucial to feeling confident as a person. I don't think we're supposed to be islands and stand alone. Like, we need support, we need help, we need people who uplift and inspire us. And maybe that's like a networking group that you go to. Maybe that's your group of friends or your spouse. Whatever it is, like community really is key. And having those people around you so that you do not feel like you have to face every problem by yourself, it is crucial in feeling confident as a person. You do not have to do this alone. Like, reach out to people and get support, get help. It's way too scary and hard to go about this on our own. I don't want to do it. I've got several networking groups that I go to. Some of them meet online, some of them are in person. I've got a couple of friends that I definitely vent to about my job, family. Like, I don't know what I would do without those supportive networks. I'm very, very grateful for them. And then something else that this has been a struggle for me. This is my last little tip for you all about feeling confident. And like I said, this one's been sort of a struggle for me, but we really do need to embrace failure. Instead of seeing it as this negative thing, I want us to shift our mindset so that we view failure more as like a stepping stone towards growth. When we fail, it means we're getting better. It means we're actually getting closer to where we want to be. Confident women are out there embracing challenges, and they're viewing setbacks as opportunities instead, right? We already talked about how important it is to learn, and that's really what failure is. It's an opportunity to learn and evolve. And every single challenge that we face, maybe comes with a little bit of opportunity as well. So I think there needs to be that mindset shift if we want to instill a sense of confidence in ourselves. Because if you fail and you get like stuck on that and you just can't seem to like get out of this like loop of negative self-talk because you failed, well, we all know that that is certainly not doing anything to help build your confidence. But with the mindset shift of like, okay, this stunk, that was a bummer, but now I get to grow and I get to learn something new. All right, now we're instilling some gentleness with ourselves. We're instilling that sense of confidence in ourselves. And that's the way to go. I don't like failing. I don't think anybody really does. It's certainly one of the worst feelings. I I don't want to sit in it. So this was a struggle for me when I was trying to do that mindset shift. It's easier said than done for sure, but with a little bit of practice, or in my case, a lot of practice, we can cultivate these kinds of habits. And you're not only going to boost your confidence by doing all of these things, but you might even inspire the people around you, your friends, your kids, who knows, right? This is a journey. These habits definitely just serve kind of as like tools in your little toolbox towards empowerment, along the way. So hopefully there were a couple in here and you were like, oh yeah, you know what, Alicia, you called me out on that. Oh, yep, I want to start doing that more. That I'm going to make a vision board, what have you. I hope there were a couple of things in here that helped you out with that. Before I get to our brand new last segment where I share about like a babe who has really been inspiring me, just a few reminders. You can find information about my photo shoots at bucksandboudoir.com. I'm on all social media platforms, I think except Twitter, at Bucks and Boudoir. If you want even just free education, go check out bucksandboudoir.com. I've got a really great blog, in my opinion, filled with information to help you on your self-love journey. And if you need to reach out to me for any reasons, there's a contact form on that website. You can shoot me a message or find me on socials and send me a DM. Okay. I have been so inspired by this woman named Patrice Banks, and I wanted to tell you about her in closing. So Patrice Banks is an engineer who turned into an auto technician, and I think that's so badass. She saw this problem where like women were intimidated into going into auto body shops. And she also saw a study, and I found a study, that women were being quoted more than men at auto body shops, which is unfair. Now, I did find a study, like I said, it came out in 2012. But Banks was doing, I think she kind of started her stuff in like 2015. So it was a very relatively new study when she started her auto body shop. But yeah, women were being quoted like $13 more than men for the same repair. So that's a bummer. She did not like that. So she opened up a car repair shop in 2017 called the Girls Auto Clinic Repair Center. And it's in Pennsylvania. And it's a auto repair center that caters to women clientele. It is staffed by women mechanics, and it has a salon attached to it. So you can get your nails done or like get a blowout while your car is being worked on. And I think that is so innovative and cool. And she saw this like problem and thought, okay, I can be the solution. And like I said, she went to college to be an engineer. Like that's what she was working as, and completely pivoted to being an auto mechanic instead. Like, how cool is that? She told the Washington Post in 2015 she traded in her high heels and an air-conditioned office for boots, dickies, and grime-covered hands, which I think that's a good line. She was tired of feeling like, as she put it, an auto airhead and getting scammed by male-dominated car care industry. So very cool that this woman was like, I'm going to shake this up. I'm doing my own thing. Women don't need to be scammed or afraid or intimidated to go and get their car worked on. And she changed it. And I wish Pennsylvania wasn't so far away, because I would 1,000% take my car here to get it worked on. But alas, I will stick to the auto body shop that's just down the street from me instead. I think this is really cool though, because it inspires me to look for problems that my clients are facing, or look for problems that the women around me are facing, and think, okay, how can I pivot and do something for them that fixes a problem that maybe they have? That's what I'm trying to do in my boudoir studio. And I don't know, maybe she's inspiring you to solve a problem that you have been thinking about, that you've been seeing people faced with. She has like keynote speeches, talks, like all kinds of really cool stuff. I recommend checking her out. I think she's a really phenomenal woman who is doing really, really cool things in the auto repair industry. So yeah, Patrice Banks, look her up. She's a badass and, in my opinion, a total babe, because she is using empathy and her smarts to create a safer, cooler, better space for women. And isn't that what a babe does? I think so. Okay, I'm going to leave you with that. Enjoy the rest of your day. And I'll tell you the same thing I'm always going to tell you. Your body is a good body. You deserve to be kind to yourself, okay? All right. We'll see you in the next episode. Bye.